And now, coming to you straight from the 505's most news-biting source of politic-commentainment, it's the New Mexico Inquisition with Danger Cavaros.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back to the New Mexico Inquisition. I'm your host, Danger Cavaros. This month, we sent correspondent Sheridan Johnson to the world-famous Balloon Fiesta, and we definitely didn't screw that up. We tackle the real issues behind that ridiculous smear campaign against Albuquerque mayor race frontrunner Tim Keller by asking the question, did he vote to make New Mexico safer for pedophiles, or did he kind of not really do that at all? Also, our own Ann Gora interviews Bernalillo County Commissioner Maggie Hart Stebbins about that disastrous jet fuel spill at Kirtland Air Force Base that nobody seems to care about. Who's cleaning that up anyway? It's not my mess. I shouldn't have to do it. That's what's up in episode 8 of the New Mexico Inquisition. Let's start the show. We've all seen the television campaign ads paid for by a mysterious political action committee, Make Albuquerque Safe, depicting State Auditor Tim Keller as a pedophile sympathizer due to a vote he made as a state senator. Let's take a look at that ad.
Tim Keller chose protecting sex offenders over our children.
As a state senator, Tim Keller supported a bill taking away the city of Albuquerque's right to limit where child molesters can live.
Not only was he against keeping child molesters from living close to schools and parks, but Tim Keller wanted to make Albuquerque a safe haven to attract child molesters from around the country.
What will he do as mayor?
Is he the person to make our community safe?
Wow. Only a real psycho would vote for Tim Keller after watching that ad. And that's just what Albuquerque did. Keller won the first round of the mayor race in early October by a landslide, nearly reaching the 50% ceiling, which would have seen him automatically elected mayor of Albuquerque. Coming in at a distant second place, hyper-masculine super chooch enthusiast and deep voice talker Dan Lewis entered the runoff race as well. The two will square off in the second round of voting in November, so you're going to want to go out and make sure to vote again. Dan Lewis has accused Keller of being weak on crime while being mysteriously silent about that criminally awful attack ad being run against the state auditor. Not so silent about the ads is Dan Lewis supporter, super wealthy Arizona mega developer and manager of the West Albuquerque Land Holdings Corporation, you know, the company behind the Santolina Master Evil Plan, Jeff Garrett. Garrett has boldly admitted that he paid for the ads, along with another super wealthy man, an oil tycoon from Clovis, and the two of them just can't stand Tim Keller. But we can't stand crappy smear campaigns, so we attempted to become the enemy in this spot we created just for them. Check it out.
It's time to ask some important questions, Albuquerque.
Does Dan Lewis believe the earth is flat?
Does Santolina lobbyist Vanessa Alarid put cream of mushroom soup in her green chili?
Does Santolina developer Jeff Garrett listen to Nickelback?
As a rich dude from Arizona, why did Jeff Garrett spend tens of thousands of dollars on an ad to spread lies about Tim Keller, accusing him of liking pedophiles more than kids, which no one does?
Pedophiles don't even like pedophiles more than kids.
In a ad that looked like a failed middle school project, Santolina's smear campaign represents the interests of men who have already paid big bucks to influence multiple local elections.
To damage good people and to ensure a water-sucking, money-grabbing, wildly unnecessary development gets built in the middle of nowhere, making them richer and Albuquerque poorer. But why target just Keller?
Is it because none of the other leading candidates had the balls to condemn this garbage plan? Do they all listen to Nickelback too? Hey, we're just asking questions.
If your politicians are in bed with big business and big business is dropping 60 grand to lie to your face during an election while exploiting images of children, is anyone in Albuquerque really safe?
We're not going to tell you who to vote for, but we can tell you we've talked to one super handsome mayoral candidate, and we can assure you he likes kids, puppies, rainbows, and Albuquerque.
Paid for by some random kids who spent $30 to make fun of some horrible people.
So, all this is about a vote that Tim Keller made as state senator, as we mentioned, but what was it that Tim Keller actually voted for? Make Albuquerque safe implied that Tim Keller is friendly to pedophiles, and thankfully the public saw right through that BS immediately. But we here at the NMINQ decided to take a closer look and see even through a year of the BS to get to the truth, and then see through that. So, since they brought it up, where does New Mexico stand with regard to sex offenders? Well, sir, here are the facts. In 2006, the federal government passed SORNA, the Sex Offender Registry and Notification Act, a set of minimum standards for sex offenders registering in New Mexico, which falls short to the tune of nearly $200,000 a year in penalties. That's right, we pay that much just to stay non-compliant. But why? Why are we non-compliant? What's so gosh darn important that we gotta stick it to the feds on this issue? Well, here's a few activities for which one is not required to register as a sex offender in New Mexico. Paying someone for sex under the age of 16, promoting or receiving earnings for prostitution where the victim is under 16, and human trafficking and voyeurism where the victim is under 16. Only in New Mexico. While various bills designed to remedy these shortcomings and close some of these loopholes have been introduced over the last several years, the handful that have passed the legislature have all been vetoed by the governor, which begs the question, is Susana Martinez in bed with Big Pedo? For more insight, we spoke to a recent transplant to New Mexico under the condition of anonymity.
When it came time to relocate our congregation, we put in countless hours of research and found that the land of enchantment was the most favorable to our lifestyle. From the sprawling yet secluded mountain vistas to the easygoing record-keeping policies, we feel New Mexico is truly one of the most magical places to take your family off the grid.
It's that time of year again. Everybody's flocking to the Balloon Fiesta park to see him fly, see him glow, and get sick off of breakfast burritos and churros. But while you were sneaking in singles of your favorite big girl drink into the park, we were sneaking in our cameras to the International Balloon Fiesta. Our own Sheridan Johnson has the scoop on all the festivities.
Thanks, Danger. This is Sheridan Johnson with the New Mexico Inquisition. We are here at my very first International Balloon Fiesta. I am a little nervous, but I am so excited to pop my Balloon Fiesta cherry with all of you today. Parking was a little tight and it was a little stressful, but now I'm here. I'm just going to try to relax and enjoy, see what happens, and see where the night takes me. What's your favorite balloon here? There's no balloons. No, there's no balloons. I mean, like, these aren't going to go up in the sky?
No.
Why?
Because they're not balloons. Now, this here is the Chinese Lantern Festival.
Oh, there's
The
like,
Balloon
do they like,
Festival is at Balloon Park. This isn't Balloon Park.
so wait, they like separate it by nation? So this is like the Chinese section, and then there's going to be like a Canadian section, like what, in the north part?
No. No.
This is not the Balloon
This
Fiesta?
is the Chinese Lantern Festival.
Is that why there's no balloons?
This is the Lantern Festival.
I don't really understand. I feel like that's like a weird word for balloon. I mean, like, is that a night balloon?
No, the Lantern Festival is the Chinese festival.
This is, well, I mean, like, yeah, like an international night balloon festival. So,
This
like,
is
I'm not,
the Balloon Fiesta.
I'm not
this is
at,
the Chinese Lantern Festival.
I don't understand. How many fiestas are there?
There's the Balloon Fiesta at Balloon Fiesta Park.
So these
one
aren't
of
going to go up? So this is not the
Balloon
Balloon Fiesta?
No.
What you need to do is you got to get back on the freeway, go down 40, hit 25, and go up to Alameda, and the balloons are over there.
I mean, thank you. I thought this was the Balloon Fiesta. You've been super helpful. Have a great night. Thank you. It sounds great. It sounds great. I am so sorry, ladies. Have a wonderful night. I'm going to talk to my producer. This is just like, it's a little extra. Thank you very much. Damn it, Danger. So it turns out we are not at the Balloon Fiesta after all, which is fine. And we are here at the Chinese Lantern Festival at the Expo New Mexico Fairgrounds. Some good news, it does run until November 12th, unlike the Balloon Fiesta, which closes tomorrow, so there goes my chance. Well, let's talk to some people about how they're enjoying these lanterns. So I just found out that I'm not at the International Balloon Fiesta.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Sorry. We were.
See,
When
these don't have hot air in them.
I mean,
They're not inflated with air, and then the hot air.
What is in there then? Lights?
There's air. I think there's air in there.
Air, but it's
It's got to be air.
No, there's a skeleton in there. Look, there's a metal skeleton in there. There's a metal skeleton, an armature, as it were. Are you not local?
No, I am. I'm local. I was saving my first time. I wanted it to be special. So.
No, I think that's something else.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, ladies. This is Sheridan Johnson with the New Mexico Inquisition. I hope you guys have a great fiesta season.
All right. Thank you. Now, we all know Albuquerque has become synonymous with auto theft, especially with vehicles from out of town. So it was a typical day when one auto thief recently thought he was getting a sweet 2-for-1 deal when he stole a truck attached to a U-Haul. But he was wrong. Dead wrong. A couple visiting from Oklahoma bringing the remains of a loved one had their truck complete with impromptu hearse stolen while spending the night in a hotel in Albuquerque. When the thieves opened the trailer, they became total stiffs with fear as they abandoned both the truck and the U-Haul, leaving them to mourn any potential use of profit for the steal. Guess we just found out the ultimate theft deterrent. Take that, makers of The Club. I bet they hadn't thought of that. What can be more wholesome than a bake sale? Kids peddling their self-labored sweet starches? Well, as it turns out, a great number of things are more wholesome than a bake sale, which was headed by junior Reaganites trying to spell out a story of woe for the white male in sprinkles. The auditioning Hitler Youths held what was called an affirmative action bake sale on the campus of UNM, with higher prices for Asian and Caucasian people than for Hispanics and black patrons, trying to assert that affirmative action unfairly gives away opportunities from white people. Why didn't the white patrons just steal from the tables and call it manifest destiny? Anywho, the bake sale was cooked up all the way through after an hour and a half, and anyone with half a brain and a whole heart decided to give them a slice of their minds. The group, self-identifying under Turning Point USA, a pro-capitalism, pro-libertarian group for college-age kids who want to get the jump on blaming minorities and the government for their problems, is not officially recognized by UNM, and thankfully so. I mean, can you imagine what their car wash would look like? All I can say is, not my bake sale. The village of Jemez Springs is planning to host their very own Bigfoot Festival this year. Skeptics are referred to their website, where event organizers have posted all kinds of photographs depicting the way that the festival will look. Unfortunately, all the photographs are blurry and you can't really tell what you're looking at. To our viewers who don't believe that there will even be a Bigfoot Festival in the Jemez, we can only tell you to stay vigilant. We believe because we want to believe. What was that? Was that the Bigfoot Festival? I'm just kidding. I don't think it exists. Now, guns keep people safe, right? You never know when someone or something breaks into your house and you're going to be forced to defend your life. Recently, a woman in Dona Ana County had a ground-standing moment, only instead of an intruder, it was her cousin. 36-year-old Tanya Kroll is facing charges of child abuse, causing bodily harm and negligent use of a deadly weapon after shooting her 12-year-old cousin in the back. If you wonder how an adult woman mistakes a 12-year-old for a grown adult intruder, it might be the moonshine she admitted to drinking before channeling her inner George Zimmerman. Congratulations, Tanya. You get this month's New Mexico Inquisition pass. For the rest of you bellyachers, now's not the time to talk about moonshine control, okay? We first need to heal as a state. While the citizens of Albuquerque scratch each other's eyes out over water fluoridization, a larger, faster, and more slippery water monster has been overlooked for decades. No, not the Loch Ness, it's jet fuel. Yes, jet fuel leakage, first detected in 1992 on Kirtland Air Force Base, had been going on since 1953. Officials were swift to do absolutely nothing, to tell you the truth. Until 2010, officials downplayed, deferred, and ignored the 24 million gallon spill rising up through the soil and possibly seeping into our drinking water. Burqueños drinking jet fuel, now that explains a lot. Anywho, with cleanup being slow and updates even slower to come, we thought we would have a sit down with County Commissioner Maggie Hart Stebbins. More with that is our own flammables drinking expert, Ann Gora.
Thanks, Danger. This is Ann Gora, and I'm here with County Commissioner Maggie Hart Stebbins.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for coming. We're talking today about the Kirtland Air Force Base oil spill. And as far as you know, how well would you say the cleanup's going in terms of like Jed clamp it, pulling it all up out of the ground, or we still have a full dinosaur down back there?
So once the Air Force feels pretty comfortable that they know where the fuel is, what the concentrations are, they can do the final remedy. And so just recently the Air Force released what they call an RFI, the RCRA facility investigation. And so that's now gone to the New Mexico Department of the Environment. They're the ones who are going to review it, see whether it's adequate or not, and make a determination. Okay, go ahead with the final remedy. So, you know, the cleanup's really going to be two phases. The interim measures that are underway, the final remedy that is going to hold the Air Force to a complete cleanup of this remediation.
Any reports of any superpowers being attained, or like really big vegetables growing out of the soil?
I think we'd have like a rush on the Air Force Base. People want to live there if that were the case, but we haven't seen that yet. You know, there has been a pretty exhaustive study that will be released fairly soon. I think we've seen drafts of it that actually quantifies what is the risk. What's the risk that somebody might inhale fumes, somebody off the Air Force Base might inhale fumes, whether it might get into, you know, their gardens. And, you know, all the evidence, you know, indicates that that is not the case, that there's no, you know, people aren't going to be inhaling it. People aren't going to be, it's not draining into people's gardens or yards. And that's because the fuel, you know, leaked out of the tanks and then it went down 500 feet. So, you know, it went from the surface of the soil down to the groundwater. That's 500 feet. And it went pretty much, you know, it's sort of a, you know, a tortured path. But none of that fuel actually made it off the base.
Now, some people say it might take decades for this to completely clean up. I don't plan on living that long. Will I ever see an end to this?
I hope you will live a few more decades. I mean, come on, you're young.
I'm not an optimistic person. Make me optimistic that I'm going to see this done in my lifetime.
I think that you know, it is a very complex problem when you think about it. How do you know what's happening 500 feet under the surface of the soil? 500 feet down. So, you know, the water is moving, you know, because of the way that soil was laid down over the past several eons. It's very complex. And so it's not something like they can just stick a straw in, suck it out, and be done with it. And so there's just a lot of complexity and a lot of work that's going into figuring out how to do it. I think the estimate is it probably is going to be a couple of decades before it is completely cleaned up. But, you know, this stuff's been leaking for 50 years.
Yeah.
And so
maybe if we all took a straw down there, you know, just
somebody could start manufacturing 500-foot long straws and each just go down. But then what do you do with it? I mean, none of us want to be sucking it out of the ground.
I don't know. We could make it like a competition. Whoever's, you know, pulls up enough and spits out the most gets a $500 check.
Whoever gets the most EDB.
Yeah.
That's actually what we are very concerned about, anybody being exposed to any of these chemicals. So I'm always open to ideas.
Tim Keller. Is he too handsome to be the mayor?
You know, I just gave Danger this awesome photograph of Tim Keller where he looks just like John Kennedy. That's what everybody thinks. So, I think if he can show that same kind of leadership, which I'm confident he will, I think he's got a really bright future. There might be people, swooning when he speaks, young women, hearts aflutter, but, I think there is more to Tim than just a pretty face.
Well, gonna get them groupies to the polls, I guess.
We can work on that.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me today.
It's always a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And back to you, Danger.
All right. Thank you, Ann Gora and County Commissioner Maggie Hart Stebbins for that killer interview. Oh. Thank you for watching the Mexico Inquisition once again, and stay warm this November, everybody. I hope you voted. Peace out.